The Last of Us Season 2 Episode 3 Breakdown: Grief, Secrets, and the Road to War. The third episode of The Last of Us Season 2 hits like a punch to the gut. Grief and trauma aren't just themes, they're the air everyone breathes in Jackson, where the community is still reeling from the brutal loss of Joel. This isn't an episode filled with action or high-stakes battles. Instead, it's a slow burn of sorrow, anger, and resolve. And by the end, it becomes clear, this is the calm before the storm. A town in mourning. Joel's body has returned to Jackson. His death, a result of the ambush that changed everything, hangs over the town like a thundercloud. Those lost during the outbreak defense are mourned, but Joel's loss is something else entirely: personal, intimate, and unbearable. Tommy sits beside his brother's lifeless body, wiping blood with a tenderness that says everything words can't. And then, almost in a whisper, he speaks to Sarah, Joel's daughter. The moment doesn't need a flashback to carry weight. It connects every piece of Joel's life, from his early years of unimaginable loss to the quiet, fragile bond he built with Ellie. Joel's legacy isn't just in the people he saved, it's in the people he left behind. Ellie's descent. Ellie, meanwhile, is in the hospital, physically on the mend but mentally shattered. The vision of Joel's murder is etched into her mind like a scar that won't fade. Waking up screaming, reliving the moment Abby's golf club ended everything she knew, it's clear that Ellie's trauma isn't something that can be patched up with medicine. She's unraveling. And this is where The Last of Us excels. Not in shock value, but in exploring the devastating aftermath of violence. Ellie's pain is raw, untamed. Her grief is not poetic, it's chaotic. Sedated after a breakdown, she floats in a space between consciousness and memory. The show reminds us, trauma doesn't follow a straight line. It loops, it suffocates, and it consumes.
Yeah, I miss him. He meant a lot to me. So, yeah, upset and sad.
Conversations that hurt. Time passes, 3 months to be exact, but not much has changed for Ellie. She's still in the hospital, existing more than living. It's here that she meets Gail, a counselor portrayed by Catherine O'Hara in an uncharacteristically heavy role. Their exchange is one of quiet intensity. Ellie admits to missing Joel, but more than that, she's haunted by the silence that lingered between them after the New Year's party. The final moment they shared wasn't a hug or a goodbye, but distance. Regret hangs over her like a fog. Gail gently reveals something Ellie didn't expect. Joel had opened up to a therapist before his death. He was scared that he'd hurt her, that what he did at the Firefly Hospital still weighed on him. But Ellie insists that's not what this is about. She doesn't feel wrong. She feels robbed. And what she wants isn't comfort, it's justice.
Most of their names, and I know where they're from. Please just
listen. A name that changes everything. Once Ellie is discharged, she returns to Joel's house. The silence inside is deafening. She moves through his space like she's walking through a museum of memories, each item a relic, each drawer a time capsule. Old shirts, pictures, a watch, things that meant little now mean everything. Dean arrives with what seems like a simple gesture: cookies. But what follows isn't sweet. It's devastating. Dina has been holding something back, something the doctors told her not to share. She knows the name of Joel's killer, Abby. She was part of the Washington Liberation Front, the WLF, and their last known base, Seattle. This moment shatters the emotional dam inside Ellie. She's furious at Dina, at the doctors, at herself for not knowing sooner. But underneath the rage is a burning clarity. For the first time in months, Ellie knows what to do. She has a target. The rise of the wolves. Just as Ellie processes this revelation, the narrative shifts to a brief but chilling glimpse of the Seraphites, a religious militant group hiding in the shadows of Seattle. A father comforts his child, warning her of wolves, not the animal, but the WLF. This single metaphor reframes the group's name in a haunting way. The wolves aren't just soldiers, they're predators. This moment sets the stage for the dangers that lie ahead. Seattle isn't just a destination, it's a war zone.
The vote is 8-3. The proposal is rejected.
Seeking permission, facing rejection. Ellie turns to the only person she can think of, Tommy. She asks for help, and Tommy, as broken as he is, listens. He agrees to bring the matter before Jackson's council. He also urges Ellie to visit Joel's grave, but she can't. Not yet. Instead, she begins training with Jesse, one of Jackson's fighters and a council member. Jesse doesn't sugarcoat anything. If Ellie wants support, she needs to be calm, focused, and persuasive. Anger won't sway the council. So Ellie writes down her thoughts, pours her heart onto paper, and when the time comes, She stands before the council and pleads, not for vengeance, but for justice. She reminds them, when anyone of their own is in danger, they act. She's only asking for that same solidarity. But the council doesn't bite. They vote no. The community is too fragile, too hurt. They won't risk more lives. This is Ellie's turning point. The official path is closed, but her path is already set. A journey begins. Back at home, Ellie begins to pack. She's going, with or without approval. And then, a knock. Dina. She's not there to stop Ellie. She's joining her. Dina's support isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's steady, unwavering. This isn't about revenge for her. It's about love, loyalty, and belief in Ellie. They plan the route, through the forests, away from main roads. It'll be longer, riskier, but it gives them a chance to avoid attention. At the East Gate, they find an unexpected ally, Seth. He's not part of the council, but he believes in Ellie's mission. He offers them a sniper rifle and a few words of caution. Officially, Jackson said no. Unofficially, not everyone agrees. The moment Ellie and Dina step beyond Jackson's borders, the tone of the episode shifts. The woods are beautiful, but ominous. As rain begins to fall, the tension builds. They find shelter and wait out the storm, but the quiet doesn't last. A gruesome discovery. At dawn, their journey continues, and they stumble across something horrifying: the body of a Seraphite child, with an entire group slaughtered nearby. This isn't a random encounter. It's a massacre. The line between ally and enemy starts to blur. Ellie and Dina have heard about the Seraphites, but seeing this carnage up close makes it real. The violence in Seattle isn't a rumor, it's a way of life, and they're walking straight into it. The wolves prepare. The final scene shifts to Seattle. The WLF is preparing. Soldiers move with precision. Weapons are stacked, maps marked. There's no sense of chaos here, only deadly order. These aren't scavengers. They're warriors. And they're getting ready for something big. Ellie and Dina don't know it yet, but they're heading straight into the jaws of the wolf pack. And they're not just outnumbered, they're outmatched. The storm is coming. Episode 3 doesn't end with a grand battle or dramatic twist. It ends with a hum, a rising tension that promises devastation. The air feels charged. Every quiet moment between Ellie and Dina is laced with unease. Their bond is strong, but it's about to be tested in ways neither of them can imagine. This episode isn't about what's already happened. It's about what's coming. It's about grief turning into obsession, love transforming into a weapon, and the slow, heartbreaking evolution of a girl who once dreamed of dinosaurs and space. Ellie is no longer the hopeful teen we met in season 1. She's something else now, hardened, focused, alone, even with Dina beside her. And as they disappear into the trees, one thing becomes clear: the storm isn't coming, it's already here. The final takeaway: The Last of Us Season 2 Episode 3 doesn't scream, it whispers. It mourns. It tightens the emotional knot in your chest until you can't ignore it anymore. This episode is a turning point, not just for Ellie, but for the entire tone of the season. What started as grief is now becoming action. And not the kind of action with explosions and heroism, but the kind fueled by loss, by guilt, by the quiet moments that change everything. As Ellie and Dina step into the unknown, we're reminded that this isn't just a revenge story. It's a story about the weight of love, about what we become when we lose the people who made us who we are, and about how that loss carves out the path ahead, whether we want it to or not. With Seattle looming in the distance and the WLF tightening their grip, the stage is set for something explosive. But the question isn't just what will happen, it's who Ellie will become by the time it does. Thanks for watching. If you felt that weight in your chest too, hit like, subscribe, and let's talk in the comments. Because this journey, it's only just beginning.